Wales used for this encounter? I mean, it didn't disappoint, did it? There was so many talking points. What was your reflection on the match?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it played out the way we kind of thought it would. You know, these games over the last 5-6 years have gone down to underneath 7 points, within 7 points, and it was exactly the same. I think Wales came out and showed that passion, that fire, that, I suppose, that new coach bounce that we kind of expected. We were disappointed, however, just that we left points out there first half. It was 62-63% possession first half, where, you know, we got into good positions. Our ball toughness, our ball carry was the thing that we said at half time. If we got that right, that we could really stress them and pressurise them. As you saw, the weather changed at half time. It was a little bit harder, but we got better at that, and that allowed us to manage the game. But yeah, frustrations at times. I thought there were at times we played really well, and then there were at times we just let Wales back into the game a little bit.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, you talked about that sort of clinical side and the red zone attack being a big work on. It's also a frustration that you're not able to convert today. How do you put that right in, you know, before you go into France?
Yeah, listen, I think we'll learn a lot from that. You know, sometimes it's hard to get in there, and we got in there. We were really I thought midfield were really good today. I thought, you know, 10-12-13 were excellent. They really put Wales under a lot of pressure. Emma and Tomo were, you know, they gave us go forward a lot. Against a side like Wales, you know that they're then going to, once you get in there, they're really going to come hard at you. So you've really got to be clinical around that ball press. You know, that, I suppose, that kind of secondary time into tackle, you know, so you know that we need to work harder on the floor, even ball presentation, just making sure we're in a little bit quicker. Ball carrier just been a little bit lower as well. So look, we'll work on those things, and I think that was the stuff we're pretty clear on. I thought we did score quite well when we kind of did 2 or 3 pick and draws, and then Leah kind of got in there. So we can do it, but we'll learn from it. And you know what, it was tough, it was frustrating. A lot of TMOs, a lot of kind of, it was stop-start, and it made it pretty difficult.
Just your view on the red card?
Yeah, we'll appeal it. I thought Evie was Jackler. She was coming at Jackal, and actually she got cleared from behind. So she was actually cleared out by a Welsh player. I think it was, if you look at the DuPont injury, you know, when it was a rugby incident, I think I would say that was a rugby incident as well. We'll certainly appeal it. We'll certainly look at it. She's obviously upset, disappointed, but you know, there was no malice, there was no appeal from the Welsh player, there was no injury. You know, that's the important thing. We've got to look after, you know, Welsh players within that, or opposition players. But yeah, we'll certainly appeal it.
The other side of that, I suppose, is they lost a player. 2 yellows. Should sort of ordinarily would mean red, and you're off for the game. What's your thoughts on the 20-minute red card?
Well, it was also announced as well it was a red. Referee announced it on the mic that it was red, and it was gone. And the next thing I knew, they had 15 on the pitch. So it's got to be clear around, you know, if you make an announcement, if you say that, because it wasn't bunkered, the second yellow wasn't bunkered, it was 2 yellows, and she then announced that it was a red. As far as we were concerned, it was a red, and then they had 15 players on the pitch. So again, we'll be asking about that as well.
It was confusing, wasn't it?
It was confusing for even us in the gantry.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, but I think when something's announced, and you know, that's why they've got the microphones, that's why everything's there.
She announced it due to the disciplinary procedure that would eventually follow.
Yeah.
Bunker had upgraded.
But anyway, it was announced as a red, so it was confusing. So yeah, we'll get that cleared up. But I just felt that there was a lot of TMO interventions, and yeah, it was frustrating. It was very stop-start because of that.
Just a word on the bench. Rachel talked about the impact that they brought. How pleased were you with their kind of offering? Yeah,
again, especially when you look at, you know, the weather, there was going to be a lot of set pieces, and you know, I thought, you know, they came on. It was hard because, you know, Wales had 14, we had 14. You've then got, you know, the 20-minute red or the 20-minute bunker that we had, and Alex coming on, and so it was difficult. So I thought we did well. I thought that we managed the game that last 15 minutes particularly well. Probably a couple of opportunities we probably could have put a little bit more pressure on as well, but look, as Rachel said, we were in a situation 12 game bounce where we lost these games with 2-3 points. we showed maturity. We showed doggedness. I thought Rachel's tackle on the line, the help holding them up on the line. That's the kind of stuff that we're doing now. So I thought the bench came on, and that's why we kind of had the bench that we did. And I was pleased with them.
Is that the biggest growth in this team, that you don't have to necessarily play at your absolute peak and you can still win games like this?
It's nice, isn't it? Look, it's momentum's and so important in the Six Nations, so important in this championship. To get off to that win is good for us. Next week's going to be a kind of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then a long travel to La Rochelle as well. So it's a little bit easier when you go in after a victory. We'll review tomorrow. We'll come in Monday and we'll get ready to go. But yeah, it does make next week easier. But there are things we can iron out. Rachel was right. I think that contact work is something we can improve on. Line speed is something we can also improve on, albeit tackle. I think tackle completion was good, but we can still put pressure on. And also thought kick chase as well. I thought our kicking game was good. I thought we left a few metres out there from a kick chase point of view as well.
Bryan, you mentioned the impact of the bench when they came on. You're obviously opted for a 6-2 split. Do you feel like that's the way the women's game is going? Obviously, it's sort of become part and parcel of the men's, even 7-1 sometimes now in France. What's your take on that sort of evolution from a forward perspective?
I think the evolution is we've now got. I think every international team have now got squads that you can choose from. So I think if you look at, I would say, the men's Six Nations and the women's Six Nations over the last year or so, the 23-player squad is so important. And each team has now got 23 players that can really have an impact on the game, whether that's 6-2, 5-3 or 7-1. We felt that the game today we kind of second guessed the Welsh selection. We felt it was going to be quite a tough, dogged kind of game, and it was. And I think we were probably vindicated in terms of going in that 6-2. Now that might change next week. We'll look at France. We'll look at the way we've played, but I think we now have the players that we can go 6-2. We've also got the players we can go 5-3. So it's the ability to pick your team on performance, but 2 on tactics as well.
Sure. And I know England talk a lot about kind of wanting to maintain that gap over France and the rest of the world. Do you think this can be a real starting point for you guys to kind of maintain that gap over Wales, given how closely fought the contests have been in recent years?
Yeah, look, I think it's the first time in, 22, 23 years that we've gone. I know Rachel said back to back, but we beat them in the Vodafone series as well. So that's us gone 3 on the bounce against Wales for the first time in a long time. It doesn't mean we've turned a corner against Wales. It doesn't mean that we've stretched ahead, but what it does is that it just shows that we are improving and that our performances are improving. And ultimately, when you get to games like this, the weather like that as well, it's about winning a test match. And we have got the players now that they know how to win test matches. They know how to close them out, but also to have 2 new players in there as well is brilliant for us. I thought Ollie was excellent. His first half in particular, I thought her ball carrier, line out stuff was great. Her contact stuff was brilliant. But to see Adele coming on, taking 2 of those line outs in a row, winning that last line out as well, she's down there. She said she feels like she's in a dream, and that's brilliant. So it's we did make a few changes second row, but I hope from this performance today you can see why.
Just briefly, was it David's role last night with the presentation?
Yeah, it was. We just felt that with the centenary of Murrayfield yesterday, it was 100 years old yesterday, that David had probably one of the most iconic moments ever at Murrayfield, and just to have somebody like him coming in to talk about what it means to play for Scotland and what it is as a tight-knit group, and his group in 1990 is very similar to the group that we've got. They're tight, they're close-knit, and yeah, it's always nice to have somebody with that experience to talk to the girls. He's very calm, he's very he does that as a job as a motivational speaker, so he did all right.
You mentioned obviously you talk a lot about the personal development. How good is it to see Rona back playing obviously after a break?
Yeah, I thought Rona was excellent today. I thought just to see her back in her happy place, it was I thought both Rona and Fran, Fran, I thought first half was was very good. You know, she's sharp, and she puts, you know, she really manipulates a lot of defence. She pulls in. You can trap defenders in there because of what she's doing, and you can shift the point of contact. Yeah, so you know, Rona and Fran were excellent. I think the kind of overriding thing was just a little bit of frustration around. We probably left scores out there, 2 disallowed, but you know, ultimately delighted with the victory.